Spiritual Doctors for Holistic Health. This is our initiative to host talk of various medical doctors and senior experts on the topic of spirituality with the objective of improving and enhancing our holistic health, complete dimension of health. And in this, or for this, there is one concept, forgiveness. Many of you are already familiar or already you have practiced it, forgiveness, to improve our relationship, to improve our family life. And it determines our physical life, physical health and mental health. And Dr. Sampoorna, ma'am, is a senior psychologist. She had done applied psychology, PhD in applied psychology long time back, around 3 or 4 decades. For 40 years, she is teaching various method of mindfulness and essence, developing the consciousness. She is from Chennai. So she has done lot of work, lot of work. Today you will experience, you will have glimpse of few of them. In Delhi, since I am from Delhi, Live Positive hold its expo. After COVID, some situation has changed, but I had seen her program, her name in Live Positive Expo. But today we will get to experience some practical session, the importance of forgiveness, the practical importance of forgiveness. And those who will like to know more, there will be sharing of her details at future retreat session. So now I invite Dr. Sampoorna ma'am. She had graced our platform as earlier as well, but it's good that we are going to listen her again. Heartily welcome on the platform of Spiritual Doctors, Sampoorna ma'am. Namaste.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ranjan and Dr. Sandeep and the team of Spiritual Doctors for this opportunity. I actually really admire how consistent you've been in offering these weekly sessions and finding such diverse, different people. It shows your dedication towards holistic health. It's actually a privilege to share my ideas with your group, especially on forgiveness. And already said, like Dr. Ranjan already mentioned, many people already have done forgiveness. Many of you are seekers, healers, leaders. You're all on a spiritual path, and you already know about forgiveness. So rather than just talk about what forgiveness is, I hope today to direct your thinking towards how you can gift it to the world, how you can make it your legacy. You know, today people are in a constant search. They miss some inner connection, and forgiveness is the way you can bring that connection back. When we begin our lives, when we start off as babies, we are very open. We embrace the world with wide open hearts. But as we grow, we close ourselves. You know, we get trapped in our hurt, fear, anger from the past. And forgiveness liberates us from those chains of hurt, bitterness, resentment. We can't change the past, but we can release that emotional charge and integrate the learnings. And then we'll become peaceful with our memories. And when we do that, this changes the present and our future. So when we forgive, we feel expansive, empowered, peaceful. We become free, basically. I would like to share how I became interested in forgiveness and what it means to me. My life journey itself began with lots of opportunities to forgive. My father left my mother when I was a toddler. He cheated, betrayed the entire family. And much later in life, I did a lot of forgiveness work with him. I'll come to that later. But before all that, my first conscious use of forgiveness began with self-forgiveness. My mother died when I was 22. I had tons of guilt about how miserable she'd been in the last stages. And that was because of the decisions I had taken for my life. And when she passed away, I could never talk about her or think of her without having a choking sensation in my throat and some kind of constriction. And this went on for years. And at some point, I attended a metaphysical program. And there I released all that guilt about my mother. I really felt like I was coming out of a deep well. It was a life changing experience, and I felt completely light and free after that. And then I could enjoy talking of my mother, thinking about her. I would feel joy. I could cherish all the beautiful memories of our life together. I regained that entire chunk of my life by forgiving myself. It was so beautiful. And I had to forgive myself. No one else can do it for us. And then over the next few years, I came across work on forgiveness. I came across Louise Hay, who strongly advocated forgiveness. And then I came across Colin Tipping, who focused entirely on forgiveness. And meanwhile, forgiveness also became a natural part of my one-to-one work. And over a period of time, I developed a workshop on forgiveness, and that kept evolving over the years. And then it became the intervention that I used in my doctoral research. My PhD in psychology is on forgiveness. And when I did that, what I already knew got validated by the research results. Now, I had scientific evidence also that well-being improved significantly after the intervention and that it actually changed people's lives. So, how does it actually change lives? One big gain is freedom. My workshop itself is called Forgiveness Path to Freedom because it frees us up in all areas. For me, forgiveness is the biggest lesson that we are all here for. And it's an ongoing journey. It opens our heart, releases us from the toxicity of unforgiveness. And when we don't forgive, we are still bound to the past, which doesn't even exist other than in our own minds. So some examples of the benefits that people have had. If you take health, there was a lady who came with a urinary block, and on the third day of the workshop, and we did some release work, she came back in the afternoon after the release work was over. She found that she was able to pass urine freely. There was no block anymore. What she thought was some obstruction created by the doctor during some procedure just completely disappeared. When she released her emotional blocks, this block also went off. There was another lady who had no sense of taste. After 13 years, after the workshop, her sense of taste came back after she practiced forgiveness. There was a 50-year-old. She cancelled all her work and she practiced intensive self-forgiveness for a whole week. And the gift she received was freedom from knee pain. That knee pain was there for 30 years. She was now able to climb stairs easily. I myself, I had a frozen shoulder for a few months and I did everything. I did physio, yoga, this, that, everything possible. I was meditating, I was doing affirmations. And then finally I said, okay, these affirmations that I'm using, I'll make them into songs. And I started with the forgiveness song. And we went to the studio and it took us about 12 hours with a singer. And the lyrics were repeated so many times for it to come right. So we heard the lyrics over and over again for 12 hours. And it got done. I went home. And the shoulder was free, no longer frozen. With just repeatedly listening to the words, I got the gift of release. I don't even know what I had to forgive. It just happened. Any area, relationship, brother and sister, there was so much hatred. After the sister did forgiveness, the brother became very caring. It's very common with husband and wife situations where one person does the work, the relationship changes. Career, finances, every area. There was a lady actually who loaned a large sum of money to a friend, and that friend absconded with it. 1 decade later, when she came to the forgiveness workshop, she did forgiveness work with her. Within days, the friend contacted her and repaid the money. I know it all sounds like, how can this happen? But it happens, and it happens again and again, so it can't even be a coincidence. There are so many benefits from forgiveness. We have more trust, confidence in ourselves, we feel calm, peaceful, we're free from rumination, depression, anxiety, anger, compulsions. These are all things that unforgiveness breeds. Yet some people don't want to forgive because there are so many misconceptions about what forgiveness is. Even therapists don't use it because of misconceptions. So if they understood the value and benefits of forgiveness, they would take it more seriously. Because each of us has our own meaning for what forgiveness is. So let's just get an understanding of what it really is and what it's not, very briefly. So forgiveness is not to excuse or to give excuses, condone, or justify what happened. It's not just a cognitive decision. We don't forgive and forget. We hear that often, no? Forgive and forget. We don't forgive and forget. It's not an exchange for an apology. I often hear, if they apologize, I'll forgive. That's not forgiveness. And it's not reconciliation. What genuine forgiveness is that we acknowledge the person for having wronged. We know that they've done something wrong, and we don't justify it. We work to release the emotional charge that that wrong has created. About decision, the decision is the first step. But after that, more important is processing our emotions. That's what brings us to that state. The emotions can never be bypassed. And then when we forgive, rather than forgetting, we remember. We remember in a wholesome new way, where the memory no longer hurts. It's like the whole event is there, everything is there, your timeline is intact. And about reconciliation, reconciliation needs forgiveness. But we can forgive and we don't need to reconcile. Forgiveness is completely independent. If we want to reconcile, we can. Otherwise, we can just forgive and be free. And it's not an exchange for an apology, because then that will just become a barter. Then there's nothing there then to forgive, right? Forgiveness is to give. Okay, and then what we fear is maybe it will be unfair to the victim if we forgive. And regarding justice, the victim really gets freedom when they forgive. There's no justice in the victim suffering even more with the toxicity of unforgiveness. Already they've been hurt and the offender is gone. What's the use of the victim suffering more, ruminating over this? When they forgive, when they release the emotional charge, they are free. Sometimes we think they don't deserve my forgiveness. Whether they deserve it or not, it's not about their deservability. It's about whether I deserve to have a good life. So we deserve to forgive so that we are not caught up in their whirlpool of misdeeds. Yeah. Then another fear is people will take advantage of me. The truth is, nobody can take advantage of us anymore once we forgive, because that pattern itself breaks. And then we can choose how we want to live. So forgiveness actually protects us in the most ecological manner. Once we drop those emotional patterns, we drop the need to be disrespected or taken advantage of. Then sometimes people say we have to spend a lot of energy to forgive. No, we don't. We gain energy when we forgive, because it takes a lot of energy to hold on to grudges. We spend energy thinking about the same issue over and over again. Imagine how much energy we'll gain on an ongoing basis when we forgive. So it's effective in all areas of life: health, relationships, prosperity, peace. To do situation other yeah, the biggest, whatever it is, bring it in. It's a small everyday grudges that actually eat into our system because they're so consistent and persistent. In spite of all this, if someone does not want to forgive, we want to kind of respect that, because we don't want to be insensitive. They probably have a reason not to. For example, there was a man, he felt that he would be betraying his family if he forgave his brother-in-law, because the brother-in-law had cheated all of them. Even if he remotely thought of forgiving, a resistant part of him popped up. So in that situation, we have to work differently, where both parts are respected and listened to. The best is to start from wherever each one is. Even being willing to think about the possibility of forgiveness is a good start. Research shows that even thinking about it reduces stress levels, and it actually creates healing in the body. And if it's hard to forgive someone in particular, choose something smaller, choose a smaller hurt, and begin from there. That practice will allow you to go deeper. And then there are times where we are the wrongdoers and we need to be forgiven. So when we seek forgiveness, we cannot claim it or demand it. The other person has a right to forgive me or not to forgive me. They are justified in how they feel. So instead of depending on them, I can make peace within myself and then apologize genuinely without expecting that the person will forgive me or should forgive me. Since I'm the one who's feeling guilty and ashamed, I need to forgive myself. Once I forgive myself, they might also feel comfortable with me, and that awkwardness could recede, and they might feel compassionate towards me and accept my forgiveness. Like in my case with my mother was no longer alive. It would never happen if I were dependent on her to forgive me. She was not there to forgive. I had to forgive myself. Our center, we work with offenders in jail. So in one of the sessions, in one exercise, a man began to weep. He had his face hidden in his hands and he was sobbing, "I'm so bad, I'm so bad." So I explained that what he had done was his behavior and it was not who he was, and that he could choose to behave differently. So then he thought about it and he looked at me like he had a new insight. Then I asked him to think of one time in his life where he might have been loving or lovable. I said, "Do you have one time like that?" So then he nodded in a moment of realization. Then I asked him, "Was there only one occasion or did you have several?" And then he said, "There were several times." So I asked him if he could love himself for those times. His eyes just went moist, not in shame this time, but grateful that he could recognize that he too had some goodness within him. He gave a smile like he had just regained his life. It was such a moving moment. Yeah, so when we acknowledge what we have done and then we forgive ourselves, we can move out of that pattern and then we can live our truth. That's what this boy had, that opportunity now. And what is our truth? Our truth is love, compassion, well-being. That's what is at our core. So forgiveness is the bridge between our wounded state and our core state of love and compassion. So once we reach that state of forgiveness, we can easily access this love and compassion. And forgiveness does not undo the wrong or reduce it. It is just for us to be free of that negative effect of the past so that we can live a full life. So how are we actually living? If we look at our lives, if we are talking about living a full life, how are we living our life? At the end of our life, we have a lot of material possessions, whatever, isn't it? And while we're living, we make a will and a testament so that when we die, our property is distributed to whomever we want it to go, isn't it? Along with our material villables, we also will something that we don't even realize. We will our attitude, our actions, our thoughts, our behavior to our descendants. So what is the emotional will that you are making? What would you want to leave behind? So just close your eyes and reflect on some questions that I'll ask you. You can close your eyes and do that now. What is a legacy that you are leaving behind? Do future generations receive your goodwill, or are they gifted with ill will and hatred? Or is it a combination of both? What they receive is how you are living now and what you feel at the end of your life. Take a few moments to become aware of what it really is, and when you're ready, you can come back. Okay, so our ancestors, they bequeath us with plenty. It's both health and goodwill, which we want to pass on. And there's also ill will, hatred, incompetence, family battles. And we might increase the ill will and pass it on, or we could recycle this energy, make it into rich compost, and hand down healthy, fertile soil for the future. The legacy we leave for our children and their children will be a testament of how we've lived our lives, what we've done with our lives. Whether we give them material possessions or not, we can certainly leave behind a healthy attitude. How we feel on the deathbed will indicate how we have lived our life. S.N. Goenka, the teacher of Vipassana meditation, shares the Buddha's teachings. He says that there are 4 ways we can live. We can move from darkness to darkness, we can move from darkness to light, or from light to light, or from light to darkness. Yeah, at the end of our lives, where and how we are is what we'll be passing on. So again, close your eyes and check within honestly from your life so far. You close your eyes first and check. From your life so far, will you be handing down joy and wisdom? Or will you be handing down misery and emotional bankruptcy? Or is it a combination of both? Which is more? Take a few moments to become aware, and then you can come back. So our life is filled with opportunities to grow in awareness and to acquire emotional wealth and wisdom. Every moment we have an opportunity to forgive and heal aspects of ourselves. Every conflict, every irritation, anger, resentment, frustration, it's all recyclable garbage that has the potential to become rich compost. We can use every one of those things. Every time you're irritated, the smallest thing, we can see, what do I want to forgive now? And then make it into rich compost. So along with emotional assets, we would have inherited liabilities also in the form of suffering, beliefs. Do we want to pass on our inheritance as it came? Because we take beliefs from our family, parents, siblings, mentors, those close to us, people we respect. And we may be reluctant to let go of what we've acquired, especially from mother, father, and all. We may feel guilty to let go of those inherited beliefs, even if they no longer serve us. We may know they're irrelevant now, and yet we may feel guilty to let go of them. It'll feel like we're betraying those people, letting go of them from our lives. And so that might stop us from changing those beliefs or letting go of those patterns. Even beliefs of having to suffer or that we need to be revengeful. So we can work on these by accepting the person, keeping the closeness, the connection, and just let go of their beliefs, their attitude. We can show ourselves that the relationship is still intact, even though the belief or attitude has changed. We can have a conversation in our mind with the person and explain that this is no longer relevant for me, doesn't hold good, it doesn't work anymore, even though it may have been relevant when it started. Because do we want to, just let everything become rotting garbage, or do we want to enrich what we have? Are we ready to have closures? Otherwise, if we don't have closures, we leave things lingering, ongoing, and our lives may just end with unforgiveness, which is toxic, draining our energy, attacking our own mind and body, creating even physical illnesses. Whereas forgiveness can revitalize us by connecting us to our inner resources. So, what would be predominant in our own final will and testament? if you take the family beliefs, my mother and my entire family, they remained angry with my father. And it was justified because of his terrible actions. And my mother died with feelings of being betrayed in love. And this became my inheritance. I also held it for some time, and I repeated the pattern in my life with a bad marriage. And I have been fortunate to break out of that pattern through all the forgiveness work that I did with my father in mind. So, forgiveness has rewritten my will and testament, changing not only the legacy I'm leaving behind, but also my family legacy, because it's now ending with me. If something has been running in the family and we don't want to hand it down to our descendants, we can break the cycle now with forgiveness. Through our forgiveness, that aspect of conflict will no longer exist. It cannot be passed on to the next generation into the world. We end the cycle with ourselves. We heal the past, we heal ourselves, and that's the gift that we will to the world around us. Okay, so this will represents the our will, the will that we're making, the emotional will. It will represent the overall attitude and the will with which we have lived our life. And the testament reflects our actions, our thoughts, our behaviors. It's a testimony to our characteristics. The testament is what we have shown to ourselves and to others in our lives. It might have changed in various stages of our life. And are we changing, or does our testament remain the same and even have mold on it? Even good property, if it's not maintained, will become dilapidated. So same with our attitudes, thoughts, behaviors. Are we just holding on to what we have, what we've been given, rather than becoming who we are? That becoming we can do through releasing and forgiving. If we keep in mind that every action that we take is reflected in our emotional will, we might live our lives differently. This mental, emotional, spiritual wealth we generate, that can't be contained inside of us. It's our legacy that spreads to everyone in our lives, even while we are alive. Unlike the material wealth we accumulate, it this goes to the descendants of our entire world. And this legacy does not require a written legal document. Our life is the legal document. How we live our life is the writing on that document. And this will does not have to be probated. We can't control to whom we leave this legacy, our legacy of emotions, thoughts, and attitude, because our legacy is already being dispersed even while we are alive. And the will cannot be refuted or revoked, because whether anyone wants it or not, whatever we are accumulating is perpetually being passed on during our life and even beyond our lives. And it doesn't matter whether we have children or not, because this legacy is not limited to our family lineage. Our thoughts and actions of each moment are already out in the world. The energy we put out is being picked up by everyone in our lives, and it's passed on through them, utilized in different ways by different people, now and even after we are gone. Let's pause here and contemplate on our life up until now. We're going to do a little exercise. Let's transport ourselves to the future when we are at the end of our lives. Okay, so close your eyes and again reflect on these questions. Please close your eyes. If I were living the last 12 hours of my life, what would I be thinking about? What are my thoughts? What are my actions? Am I satisfied with the will, the testament, the legacy I am leaving behind? Is there some regret in my life? When I am living my last 12 minutes, how do I feel about how I have lived my life? how would I want to feel? Reflecting back on my life at that point, what would I change if I had the choice to change it on my timeline now? When you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back and just notice what came up. So we all make mistakes. We've all been hasty in decisions, been selfish, felt injured, retaliated, different things. We may have distanced ourselves from people, made new relationships, ignored some. Looking back, if there was a possibility of resolving the conflicts in each relationship, would that be a choice you would make? Not to reconcile, but to resolve the conflict that exists. Would you make the effort to forgive? Or would you rather avoid it for now, retain the strife, and carry all this baggage of unresolved issues into your next journey, your next life? If you're shifting residence from one country to another, we would dispose of everything and, vacate properly. We would sell everything, carry only what we want with us. We won't leave things pending, right? Similarly, reflecting at the end of our lives, would we choose to close up, wind up, end conflicts, be at peace before leaving, or do we want to have it all pending and live in a state of restlessness, agitation, carrying all those encumbrances from our past? If your answer is that you want peace, say it aloud to yourself. Yes, I want to create peace. Say it now. Yeah. This path of forgiveness frees us of all those attachments, bonds, conflicts, unresolved issues, so that what gets dispersed through our will is harmony and goodwill. And there's no other time than now to begin the work of forgiveness. If you're already on that journey, now is the time to do more, to become aware of every single discomfort inside us and work it through. And if we do this now, in the last few hours or last few minutes of our life, before we die, we would have the gift of sweet remembrances, memories of our life, memories of even the conflicts as events in our life that helped us to grow and learn. Memories without that emotional charge of hatred. Just sweet remembrances. And then we can live in contentment and peace, willing to move on with love and peace in our heart. And we'll bestow this upon our family, our world, and even onto our own future lives. That's what we'll be creating for our future lives. So if the time is now to begin this journey towards our inevitable death, to play an active role towards a peaceful death, and to leave behind a legacy of goodwill, what would you do? Now close your eyes again. I'm asking you to close your eyes many times. Close your eyes again and think. Close your eyes. Who would you like to forgive first? And who would come next? Each time you have a stumbling block, just notice your own discomfort. Notice if there's any fight within you when you think of some people. Is there a part that's resisting to forgive some of them? Open to forgiving some, resisting to forgive some, a discomfort some. Just become aware of all that. It's normal. Just become aware of it. We don't become bad if we are unwilling to forgive. It's just that there's some resistance there. Make a note of it. And then when you're ready, you can come back. So if we have parts fighting within us, we can't think with clarity. Within fighting, we are doomed to fall, like a country that's fighting within itself. A country with solidarity will win. And forgiveness creates that solidarity within us. And in that solidarity, in that unity within us comes courage, strength, peace. And that leads to more willingness to forgive. And this becomes a cycle, and the gift of forgiveness will just keep flowing. And the more we forgive, the more we receive. So we acquire multiplied benefits and blessings from all others through our forgiveness. And then we leave behind these benefits and blessings for our family, our friends, our society, our earth. The writing on our will and testament then would have what? It will have words of peace, love, forgiveness, and we bequeath to the descendants of the future all that we've learned and the effects of all that we have practiced. We might think, whatever we do, it's only one drop in the ocean, and so why bother to do anything? And this kind of apathy is what has brought the world to where it is today. There was a girl and her father, they were driving, and accidentally they bumped lightly into a bike. The guy on the bike got so furious, he followed them all the way to wherever they went, banged on that car, shattered the glass at the back, and then zoomed off. So there's so much of fury stored in people today. And if you just stay passive, it's actually criminal. Instead of helplessly escaping from action, we want to start with action. We can start with just one person, that is ourselves. We can take charge of ourselves. As we transform, our change will allow a few others around us to transform. And as we change, we create change in our small circle. In our, if I take my workshop, in a small work group of 30 people who attend a workshop, they experience transformation from ill will to goodwill. And they use the methods and they bring change, so much more change in themselves, and their families start changing. So with 30 people who are here, 30 families change, and friends of those 30 families change, and the change continues to spread. There was a man called Ilango. He was very angry with his father. He felt his father had overlooked him and had been partial to his sister about property. So in the workshop, he did a lot of release work with the father, expressing all his anger. And a couple of weeks later, he called me up to say, "What am I doing? I've been abusing my father for so many years. He's 70 years old. Is this the life that he deserves? How could I treat him like this?" So I asked him, "What do you want to do now?" He said, "No, I've already stopped treating him that way. I'm giving him a lot of love and affection. It is terrible that he had to put up with all this abuse from me." So this man's perspective on how he viewed his father changed. And once he had expressed all that anger and forgiven his father, he just stepped into forgiveness. And what he actually felt for his father deep inside was then free to emerge. And that was the love and compassion that he felt. That property and all that didn't matter anymore. It was the father and son relationship. It changed the whole thing. And then when the father died a few years ago, his father's final years were a testament of the peace he felt. And that became the memory he left behind for his children and grandchildren. And the son, having forgiven the father and himself, was at peace with himself. His legacy then is one of forgiveness and peace. Through his act of forgiveness, he was rewriting his testament. So Mahatma Gandhi said, "An eye for an eye will leave the whole world blind." So using punishment is retributive justice. A lot of times we think justice needs punishment. So there are two kinds of justice, retributive and restorative. So punishment is retributive, and it doesn't support the person or society. It hardens the offender and creates a more criminal outlook. The person feels they're inherently bad and they can't change, like they're almost like not part of humanity. We were involved in an experimental project in a city sub-jail, and first-time offenders of theft were segregated and treated like students, and they were given daily personal growth sessions. Over a 6-month period, out of 900 offenders who went out on bail, only 25 were arrested again for crimes. Under normal circumstances, before this project started, 90% of them used to return as criminals. See the difference just with how they were given an opportunity to change. There's a tribe in South Africa which is very beautiful. When a person acts irresponsibly or unjustly, He's placed in the center of the village. He's alone, unfettered, and all the work in this village will cease. Every man, woman, and child joins the circle, and each person will speak to the accused. And what will they speak? They'll recall all the good things that the person in the center has done in his lifetime. Only the good things. And each person will say it. And this ceremony could last for days. And at the end of it, once everybody is done, the circle is broken and the person is welcomed back into the tribe. Isn't it beautiful? Their belief is that the person has forgotten their intrinsic worth, and this reminder of who he is will bring him back to his equilibrium. That is restorative justice. It is so beautiful. When we are connected to our core or our source, we can't cause harm. It's only when we lose touch with who we are, that essential who we are, that's when we misbehave. So no person is unforgivable. Forgiveness is for the worst so-called sinner. It's not dependent on their repentance or the extent of offense. The key lies in the heart of the forgiver. When our emotions are processed, we automatically reconnect to our essence of unconditional love. And then we feel compassion for the offender for their loss of inner connection. And when we forgive, we stop punishing ourselves. There's some harm inflicted on us. We keep reaping the effects of that. And when we forgive, we can stop that. Like there was an adult victim of child rape who didn't realize the impact the incident had on her until she began to experience issues and trust issues. Then when she brought out all those emotions hidden under the carpet and dealt with them, then she began to feel lighter, freer, and more trusting. So she could then get back her life and live with, have intimacy, trust, everything in her life. And if she did not forgive, there's no justice for her. So we don't bypass our feelings, we process them, and then we forgive. So if forgiveness became a part of our lifestyle, we'll practice it automatically. Resentment is like one virus. It keeps on spreading, moving not only to people, but across time through generations. Say if you take a 10-year-old boy who's the recipient of this passed on resentment in school, say a teacher brings this virus of resentment into the classroom and he's bullying this child. So this child receives it. And the teacher probably received this virus from his grandfather 40 years ago. Now this unknown 10-year-old child is bullied by this teacher and he brings this anger into his own life. He gets married, he grows up, he gets married, and he flings this anger onto his children, his grandchildren. So now his grandchild feels bitter about life. Now already we're looking at this virus being transmitted down 6 generations in this small example. So on and on that ill will spreads. That is what we're, handing down. Forgiveness could stop this generational transmission of ill will and protect us from all the suffering. We can become the person to break the cycle of woundedness. We become the testimony of change for the better. And we can reduce the perpetration of violence in our society. Just as ill will spreads easily, we can facilitate the spread of goodwill also in small ripples. Over time, we'll be the creators of large waves of transformation. Every time we heal one aspect, we reduce it in that whole collective consciousness, in that morphogenetic field. We can create planetary transformation just by working on ourselves, because we are each a part of the planet. Forgiveness creates a legacy of love. And people in power, people like politicians, spiritual leaders, religious leaders, heads of institutions, even activists who mobilize a lot of human resources, they have a large scope. If they advocated forgiveness, imagine the impact on humanity and on this planet. If businesses and corporate houses were to function from a state of forgiveness, how much peace there would be in the world instead of fights, hatred, revenge. And then society and governments would have a huge revenue in the form of what? Goodwill, cooperation, well-being, ongoing growth, right? And then the question is, will all this last? It's a lifelong journey. we keep releasing whatever arises to the surface layer by layer. We keep lightening the load we carry, and then we begin to respond differently to the challenges that we will continue to face. If I said I'll talk about my father's story. So when my father left us, I was around 2 years old. I didn't even know what I felt towards him, and I didn't know I had any anger. In my adulthood, with the urged by a group of friends, I did a release exercise with him. It took me 45 minutes of punching and verbalizing to even know I had anger. It was after 45 minutes, the anger actually came gushing up. And then once it surfaced, it took just a couple of minutes for it to be expressed fully, and then it was gone. It was done with. With all that baggage out of the way, I could feel understanding and compassion for him. And then I thought it was done. But this was the first layer. Then over the years, each time something surfaced, I used the opportunity to process and deal with the next layer and the next layer. And I began to feel more compassion, safety, trust, understanding, and I felt my own power. And I got to know much later that during that same period, my father began to regret the way he had lived his life. He repented for all the hurt he had caused my mother, and he kept thinking of us often. So and he also became more spiritual, and his anger went down, and he had a whole lot of change. As I did the work, he transformed radically somewhere. And it's no coincidence, it's happening all the time. Forgiveness restores us and our relationships. As my father changed from being angry, arrogant, and bitter to being accepting of his mistakes and more peaceful, his legacy to the world also changed. And so has mine as I work through all those layers and layers of stuff with him. We have a program, online program. It's a 41-day release to forgive. It's a recorded program. And I participated in this entire program 2 times myself. And it gave, so 41, 41 twice. And it gave me exponential release, huge insights, and so many shifts in my perspective. Each day a new layer would come up and get released. I was so much lighter at the end of it. So was every other participant. In my approach, there is a natural forgiveness process that happens in life. So in my approach, I use the same natural process with specific tools each step along the way. So this makes it quick, deep, and lasting without the fear of us breaking it midway. And we don't have to wait for one mood to make it happen. The workshops leads us through the steps. And we do have this forgiveness path to freedom workshop coming up soon. We have all these programs available, and we have this workshop, the big 3-day workshop coming up soon in August in Chennai. And I think the details are going to be shared on the slide. And if you're interested, you please feel free to contact us. The number is also on the slide. And I'm writing a book on forgiveness, describing and outlining all these steps. And today I'll lead you through a couple of exercises to begin the journey, but we'll do that after the question and answer section.
Few minutes back, there was question, should not trust need to be earned?
That when we trust, it is something that we're doing for ourselves, just like forgiveness is for ourselves. It's not about whether we trust that person again. We want to retain our caution. That's a very important thing that you asked, because we want to retain our caution. We want to know that this person might still be repeating this behavior until they prove otherwise. But within our heart, within our mind, we don't want to be all the time suspicious and spending all that energy on not knowing whether I can take the next step, or you don't want to live like that. So when I'm talking about trust, it's about creating trust for ourselves, within ourselves. And with that trust, we'll know when to be cautious and when to actually believe the person. Believing the person is different from trust. Okay?
Trust has to be for self first.
Yeah. Any other questions?
There are many questions. Can we do forgiveness for dead people, dead person?
Yes, absolutely. I did forgiveness after for my with my mother only well after she died, and my father was not even in the picture when I did work with him. It's perfectly fine. Doesn't matter whether they are dead or alive. We are doing the work with what we are holding inside of ourselves, because our images of mother and father and everybody else, the people we know, are all inside our heads, and that is what is bothering us all the time. So we forgive from within us.
Uh, how to do forgiveness? We will do the practical in in just a few minutes.
We'll just be starting the process, because forgiveness is in our workshop, it's 3.5 days. So there's a lot that we need to do, but we'll just start something today.
Yes. And can forgiveness play a role in ending the Russia-Ukraine war?
I'm sure it plays a role in any conflict, any battles, anything, anywhere. And if we can all keep doing forgiveness work, it'll spread not only within our families, like I said, it'll spread to our whole world.
And there is one interesting question: how I will know that I have forgiven?
You will find out because of the changes that will come into your life. You'll feel lighter, you'll feel more peaceful. It's very important, because sometimes people think I've forgiven. Lots of times they'll say I've forgotten about it, I've forgiven. But that may not be real forgiveness. That may only be um in psychology it's called pseudo forgiveness, because it is incomplete. So that may be incomplete forgiveness, where we might have taken a decision to forgive, but the decision alone doesn't complete the process. We have to release that emotional charge that is within us. And when that is done, we'll just naturally come to that state of forgiveness where we don't feel that charge anymore. And that's when you know, okay, it's over. And then again, 1 month later or 6 years later, something may crop up again. It's not that this didn't work, it worked. Then there'll be another layer that will come up. So again, you work on that, because you know now how to do it.
There is one question: if I am going through toxic people on daily basis, daily emotional trauma is happening. So what to do? How to be peaceful?
Yeah, it's very important, because if your whole environment is like that, uh, even to get started on something for yourself will be difficult. So start with something really small. Start with doing some, things like I'm willing to have peace in my life. I'm, affirming something like that, so that then you're able to start the processes. And then when you start doing the forgiveness work, you will find that the same people will not behave that way with you, or it will no longer affect you the same way, because you'll start seeing things differently. One of the two will happen, or both will happen. And then you'll start feeling the freedom. And in fact, with your change, with your compassion, even you might find that lots of times people who come for the forgiveness workshop will say, people in my house have changed because some change in them, and then that spreads. That's what I'm saying. No, that's the legacy we are leaving behind, not just after we die, even while we are alive. That is what we are creating around us. Peace, harmony, is goodwill. That's what we are creating. So then they pick up that vibration, and then they also start feeling more at peace.
If someone is constantly harassing us, how we can forgive? And
The
they are
same,
not a part of family.
yeah. So the same thing again. If they're constantly harassing you, there's no use in you just avoiding them and moving away from them, even if they're not part of your family, because then somebody else will start doing that to you, because that's the pattern inside which is attracting that behavior from them. So that pattern is coming up because that part of you inside of you wants to heal. So it's very good. Something inside of me wants to heal. So it's attracting people around me who keep on triggering something in me, who provoke something in me, so that then I have to work on this and heal this aspect. So if you do forgiveness work and actually heal that aspect, then that pattern will drop. that person will stop harassing you. And after that, whether you're in touch with them or not, there won't be others also to harass you.
There are few other questions, but I feel that by going through practical and
I think we can take another 5 minutes.
uh, how do we make someone to forgive us?
We can't make someone forgive us. If we feel that someone needs to forgive us, we've done something wrong, we do self-forgiveness. We forgive ourselves. That's what I said. No, in my mother's case, that's what I did. She was not even alive. I forgave myself and I became free. And even if somebody is right here and I've done something wrong to them and I want them to forgive me, and I'm saying sorry, please forgive me, and they're not willing to forgive me, they're still angry, it's their right to still be angry. I've done something wrong. Now I shouldn't burden them further by saying, no, you have to forgive me. Leave them, allow them to just experience their own feelings, and you forgive yourself. So I forgive myself in that situation and I say, I know I really did wrong. It was not it's not matching my own judgment, it's not matching my own values. In fact, we have a whole self-forgiveness online recorded workshop, and where we forgive ourselves for whatever injury we've done to somebody else. And if they forgive at the end of it, it's fine. If they don't, also you forgive yourself. Else, one more maybe we can take, one or two more.
My father has transferred anger in legacy, but after some year he is regretting. But by the time his children has transferred this to their children, now
Yeah.
how to break the chain?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. No, that's how we keep giving it generationally. So anybody in this chain can start doing the work. So your father had done it. So now you start doing the forgiveness work. You start creating more peace, and then slowly it will spread to the whole family. And somewhere it gets arrested. And then when your family members see you doing this, they might also do some work, and then how their children will receive it will also change.
I have done Heal Your Life course and I think I have forgiven, but there's grief and lack of trust. What do I do?
Yeah, so with grief, it's another topic altogether, so we won't be able to cover that here. But with grief, you can even tell parts of yourself that it's still safe, and so the trust and the grief comes in. But we don't finish all our forgiveness from doing it one time. Almost every day we have forgiveness work to do. So you can keep doing more work. If you know how to do the forgiveness work, then just do more work. Keep doing more and more. And then you'll find that even the grief will start changing, because as you forgive, your connection to your inner core state of love, compassion, and all that will start opening up more and more. And when you're feeling that love and that compassion, that will wash through that grief and that lack of trust. We can take a last question.
People are waiting for your book and they are asking for suggestion, reading for self-help to cultivate good thought process.
Yeah.
So
the book will probably it's almost getting complete. In another month it should be complete, and then publishing, I guess, will take time. So we're hoping that it will be ready, published by the beginning of next year or the end of the year. I don't know, depending on how long it takes to publish.
There are many writing. Some are questions, some are feedback, some are appreciation.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the appreciation. If you have more questions, you're free to email or WhatsApp us directly also later, and Nandini will give the our email address on the chat box and WhatsApp number on the chat box. So you're free to send us questions, which we will be happy to, or you can connect with us on social media and we'll be happy to answer your more of your questions.
Yes.
Is that fine?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'll just lead you through some very small, simple processes. Um, even what seems very small and simple will create a change. So we'll just get started with those. And the first of all, just think of what you would like to work on right now. Don't take something very big because we are in a big online platform and I won't be able to help you personally if you need help. So take something that's mild, that's upsetting you. Yeah. And you can close your eyes while you do this. Some mild upset, and feel it in your body. And now close your eyes, keep it closed, and make the sound ah, ah. Keep doing it over and over. Feeling that upset inside your body, noticing where it is in your body. Just do the sound ah, ah. Do it aloud like I'm doing. And then bring even your hands into it. Just open your eyes once and see me. Bring your hands into it like you're releasing all that emotional charge inside. Ah, ah. Do that a few times. Keep doing it over and over. Ah, ah. And notice if there's that upset inside is reducing or it's increasing. If it's increasing, do more. Ah, don't block it if it's increasing. Allow it to all come out. Ah. And then when you're ready, you open your eyes, you come back. And now this time, along with that, you're going to do a little more. First, just pause and notice what is left inside. And give yourself permission for more to come out if it's coming out. And notice what's left. And then stretch your body, shake your hand. You can shake your body also. And then now bring out your voice and shake your voice also. And while you're doing this, put out the intention that you're releasing whatever is there. Close your eyes and do that, what you saw me do now. Do it whichever way it is for you. And think of anything more that's coming up. Allow it all to come up. However the sounds come, and the body and the face and everything, shake. If you want to shake your legs, your body, everything, let everything shake. And then notice if there's more coming up from inside. And this time express it all out in gibberish. Just making rubbish sounds. Do it like I did now. So bringing your body, your hands, everything into it along with gibberish. Bring it all out. Even if you feel like crying, it doesn't matter, just do it. Then all that energy of crying will go as you're doing it. It's good if something is coming up. It means block there and it will all get released. Do it a little longer. And then now again do the ah sound a few times. Ah. Take a deep breath and then go ah. Ah. Allow anything that's there, any tears, any anger, any emotion that's there, to just come out and get released with the sound. Ah. Ah. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back. And now we're going to do another little exercise. This time, you're going to think of that event or any other event that comes to your mind. Don't search for an event. Think of the same event, or if something comes up spontaneously, you take that. Okay, so you're going to close your eyes. With your eyes closed, imagine that scene happening. That event, that scene, whoever is there in that, you're there, somebody else is there. Imagine that scene there. You're there in that scene, somebody else is there with you, there's something that's happened. And now, while that still remains there, you become an ant. And as an ant, you go into that scene and you're watching yourself and the other person go through that incident. As an ant, you're watching that event, being inside that scene. As an ant, you may be crawling all over them or around them. You're watching yourself, you're watching the other person as an ant, and you may be crawling around them, over them, watching their expressions, their gestures. And as you're watching them, notice how it feels. And then you come back and become yourself again. You're no longer an ant, and that scene is still there. And you become yourself. You're outside the scene now, just watching that scene again. And this time you go into that scene again, and this time you go in as an elephant. You become an elephant, and you go in and you watch yourself and the other person, watch the entire scene as an elephant. You're there, and you can see their gestures, their postures, you can hear what they're saying. And as an elephant, you're watching that entire scene. And notice how that feels. And then you come back, become yourself again. You're no longer an elephant, you're yourself. And the scene is still continuing there, and you're outside the scene. And now you become a bird. And as a bird, you go back into that scene. And as a bird, you go all around them, fly around them, hover around them. You might even go and sit on their shoulders. You're able to fly in and out. And as a bird, you're watching them, their gestures, postures, listening to them, whatever it is. And notice how it feels as a bird, as you watch yourself there and the other person there as a bird. From the perspective of a bird, how does it feel? And then you come back and become yourself again. you're back again as yourself, and that original scene is there. And then now you close that scene and you just become yourself. So this was a small exercise we've done just to see how you can change your perspective by becoming different things from different angles, different ways that you can change your perspective. Like I said, these are small little things that we are starting with just for you to know that you can practically do things. There are several exercises and very deep exercises that we go through in the workshops, because you need to do an intense amount of release before you can come to that open state of forgiveness. And then from that state, you naturally go into your love, compassion, and everything else. But this is some way that we can start. But then I'm going to play a song for you. And this is that, remember I spoke about that time that I had a frozen shoulder, and we recorded this song, and my frozen shoulder disappeared, even though I didn't know what the reason was. So this song is available for anyone to use at any time. It's on my YouTube channel and on many other platforms. Please subscribe to my channel, and you can have easy access to this song and many other songs and other materials also. So now I'm going to play the song, and that's going to be an exercise. As you listen, you allow different people that you would like to forgive to come up. Or you focus on one person, your choice. However it comes for you. Now don't think too much while it's going on. Images will just keep coming. You allow them to come and go. Just put out the intention that whoever you want to forgive is coming up. And it may be one person, it may be multiple people. Allow it to come as it comes. If no one is coming, allow someone random to come. Once when I was not well and I was lying in bed for more than a week, I just played the song several times a day and allowed images to just flit through my mind. And later on, I realized that I had huge amounts of release with various people who popped up. You can do it now. Just let it happen in the background. You close your eyes and enjoy the song. Just listen to the song and enjoy it.
I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive. I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive.
I forgive myself, I do forgive my family, my friends, I forgive. I forgive myself, I do forgive my family, my friends, I forgive.
I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive. I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I'm free to be just me. 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 I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive. I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive.
I release the past and forgive actions of hate. I forgive. I release the past and forgive actions of hate. I forgive.
Forgive, forgive. I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I'm free to be just me. 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 I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive. I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive.
Everyone in my life I do forgive, whether alive or dead. I forgive everyone in my life. I do forgive, whether alive or dead. I forgive.
I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive. I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I'm free to be just me. 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 I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven. I'm wholly forgiven. I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven. I'm wholly forgiven.
By my own self I'm forgiven. By family, by friends I'm forgiven. By my own self I'm forgiven. By family, by friends I'm forgiven.
I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven. I'm wholly forgiven. I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven. I'm wholly forgiven. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I'm free to be just me. 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 I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven. I'm wholly forgiven. I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven. I'm wholly forgiven.
For my deeds of the past I'm forgiven. For my actions of hate I'm forgiven. For my deeds of the past I'm forgiven. For my actions of hate I'm forgiven.
I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven. I'm wholly forgiven. I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven. I'm wholly forgiven. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I'm free to be just me. 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 I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven, I'm wholly forgiven. I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven, I'm wholly forgiven.
By everyone in my life, I'm forgiven. By the living and the dead, I'm forgiven. By everyone in my life, I'm forgiven. By the living and the dead, I'm forgiven.
I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven, I'm wholly forgiven. I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven, I'm wholly forgiven. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I'm free to be just me. 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 I forgive, I'm forgiven. I wholly believe. 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 I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I'm free to be just me. 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 I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive. I forgive, I let go, I wholly forgive. I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven, I'm wholly forgiven. I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven, I'm wholly forgiven. I forgive, I'm forgiven, I wholly believe. I forgive, I'm forgiven, I wholly believe. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I am free and they are free. I am free to live my life. I'm free to be just me. 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 I'm free to be just me.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much
Thank you. Thank you.
for this short introductory but powerful session. Dear friends, whatever you have heard, that song is available on the YouTube channel of GL Sampoorna ma'am with GL Sampoorna. So you'll get that video and browse through the website and you will come to know the events of the upcoming events. Number has been shared in chat as well as, and this is available on the website as well. So participants, आप सभी को भी धन्यवाद. Thank you. You can look on our YouTube channel every Sunday. The time, our timing is same, 11 a.m. and Zoom link is also same. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.